Hey guys, welcome back to Beam. I'm Laurel, and today I'm going to show you how to finish assembling your robot. So hopefully you or your parent picked this up earlier this week. Yeah, they should be partially assembled. And then what you'll need to finish it off is the battery pack, and then the separate batteries, which you probably picked up separately. We have 4 of the AA batteries, and then we have 4 of these brass studs here, 4 of these little screws, if you can see those. And then the mBot, the core for the robot, which is like the brain. This is how it thinks and how it moves and all that. And if you're following along in our instruction manual, mine might be different because I think I have the old version. But if it is the same, we're starting on step 6. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So we're going to start with these brass studs here. You should have 4 of them, and they're going to go into the corners of the robot. So on the frame here, you can see in all 4 of the corners there's this little hole. Here there's 2. We're going to do the outer one and just screw that into all, all 4 corners of our robot. And this is going to hold up the core, like the brain of the robot, and structure that. And these you want to screw in all the way. You want them to be as tight as possible because if they're loose, then things might fall off. Okay, so once you're finished, your robot should look like this, the brass studs in all 4 corners. And then we'll move on to step 7 in the instructions, if yours are the same as mine, which is to take all of the cables here that are on the bottom and then pull them through to the other side of the robot. Okay, so for the cables on the bottom side here, we have this black cable, which is from the line following sensor here. And then we have 2 of these white and black cables, and each one is from a motor. So we have the left one and the right one. So we can start with the cable for the line follower sensor, and we're just going to pull it through this hole here, and then it'll come out in the front side of the robot. And this part is a little bit tricky, so take your time with it if you need to. Try to be gentle with the cables. And then we'll pull it out on here. And if your robot is facing you, you want it on this side of the robot. So this is to my left right now. And then we'll repeat that with the motor cables here. So you can do one at a time. And these ones, it's important to keep them separate because they plug into different places on the mBot's brain. And if you have them in the wrong places, your robot's going to go backwards instead of forward. So not a big deal, it's easily fixable, but try to keep track of which one is which when you pull them through. Okay, and then these should go on the same side as the line following sensor here. All right, and now that we have all of our cables here, and this last cable from the ultrasonic sensor right here is going to go to the other side, to my right. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to assemble the battery pack. So take your battery holder and then your AA batteries and just put them in. So you can see inside there's a little diagram of which side the plus and minus side goes on. So this is the plus side of the battery with the thing sticking out, and then the minus is the other side. So we're just going to stick all 4 of those in there. All right, and when you're done, it should look like this. You should have all your batteries in there. And then you might already have the Velcro on your robot. If not, you can just put the Velcro on and onto the battery pack as well. If it's already there, don't worry about it. And then we're just going to stick it down in between the brass studs so that the cable is facing out towards the back of the robot. So go ahead and situate yours like that. All right, so this is what your robot should look like now. And the last thing to put on is the brain of the robot. So this one you want to have, if you see all these dots, we want these dots facing the front of the robot. So it looks like that. And this should sit right on top of the brass studs. And if it's like that, and remember we want this one cable from the ultrasonic sensor coming out on this side, that's my right side of the robot, and then the 3 other cables should come out the left side of the robot. And now we just have to screw this in so it stays secure. So we're taking our 4 little screws here and just place those in the corner, and they should screw into the brass studs we put on. So if you guys can see that, here's my screw, and I'm going to take the screwdriver here, and it should be on the hexagonal side. If it's the wrong side, you can just unscrew this part and then flip it around and screw it back in. Yeah, we're just going to screw all of those in like this. And again, make sure these are as tight as possible. If they're too loose, your robot might lose its brain. And once all these screws are in, we'll be moving on to our last step, which is just connecting the wires to the different ports on the M core. All right, last screw. Make sure they're all tight, and then this is what your robot should look like. Screws in all 4 corners here. Okay, so our last step is connecting all the wires. So we can start with this one, which is on my right side of the robot. And this is the cable for the ultrasonic sensor. And this one, there should be a little diagram in your instruction manual. But this one here should plug in to port 3. So you can see here the ports are numbered. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're just going to plug this into port 3. So this part that sticks up, this should be on the top, and you should hear it click when it goes in. So make sure it clicks, and then if you tug on it a little bit, it shouldn't pull out. And if you do need to pull it out, you just press down on that little tab, and it'll come out. Yeah, so make sure it clicks. And then the other black cable, this was for the line following sensor. This one, I consult my manual, is going to plug in to port 2. So look for the number 2 on the side of your robot, and then you can just clip it in there. And yeah, make sure it clicks. Okay, and then our motor cables, these are going to plug into M1 and M2. You can read that on the side of the robot. And it should say again in the little diagram in your instruction packet, but your left motor plugs into M1 and your right motor plugs into M2. So hopefully this is kind of the tricky part, but try to look at the bottom and see which wire is which from the bottom. So here I have my left motor is connected to this cable, and I'm going to plug that one into M1 here. And when you plug it in, the parts that stick out, the little bumps on the bottom, I know it's kind of hard to see in this video, but those should be on the bottom when you plug it in, and it should fit pretty securely. This one doesn't click though. And then same thing for the other one, just stick that into M2. And yeah, if you have these reversed, your robot will go backwards when you turn it on. But so if that happens to you, you can just flip them, and it's not a big deal. And then our last step here is to take the power connector in the back from the battery pack and plug it into this little round port here for the power. So this is how your robot has energy to move. All right, and your robot should be done. This is what it looks like, everything connected. And if anything has issues or breaks, you have your instruction manual with you, so you should be able to consult that and hopefully try to figure it out. All right,